Hey guys, so I just wanted to explain to you what a concussion is. I recently completed my complete concussion management course, and this explanation and diagram is straight from that course. So within the brain, we have neurons, which is how we communicate within the brain. So if I draw a couple of these neurons, like so. So with a concussion, we have an acceleration, deceleration of the brain, which causes stretching or shearing of the neurons. With this stretching and shearing, some of the molecules that normally sit outside of the neuron will come inside, and some that normally sit inside will come out, so those channels just open up. With this creates the neuron to fire, or an action potential, to the next, causing a cascading of events or a chain reaction. And so we get this big, all these neurons firing off, and we get this real excitatory phase within inside the brain. If I draw a big graph here, so we have energy on the side out here, and we have time down the bottom. We have this kind of firing storm within inside the brain for about 10 seconds. And if we use footy as an example, someone gets that whiplash or a head knock, they get this acceleration, deceleration, they get this firing, and you see them trying to get back to the line, and they're stumbling around. They're trying, they know they want to get somewhere, but they don't really know what they're doing. This will last about 10 seconds before we go into this energy crisis. With this dip, you often see when they eventually go to come off a few minutes later, that they look really depressed and down. And if we draw a line here, this is where cell or neuron death will occur. We don't reach that depth, so the energy levels stay above that, so it's a functional injury. This will go on for about 5 to 7 days. Often around this time, this is when also symptoms will resolve. So then how long does it take before my energy levels will actually restore? Well, it's been shown it can take takes 22 to 30 days before that ATP level will be back to normal. But often, symptoms will recover after 5 days. So that's where that kind of difference is. So often people will come back at about day 7. I've got no symptoms, I'm feeling pretty good. And then they'll get a second concussion, a second shearing and deceleration, acceleration, deceleration of the neurons. And then they get another excitatory phase. And then they go into another energy crisis. And you can see what happens there. And this is called secondary impact syndrome, and we can touch on that in a subsequent video. Additionally, 30% of people will still have symptoms or experience symptoms of concussion past the 4-week mark. And this is called Persistent Concussion Syndrome, or PCS, and we'll touch on that. This population really need to be rehabbed for their symptoms to be resolved. So I guess this is kind of that acute overlook of what a concussion is. The best indicator for a good outcome is actually seeing someone like us that specialise in concussion within the first 5 days. So that's what the evidence is showing us. So I think a really good takeaway from this is it's an acceleration, deceleration injury. We get stretching and shearing of the neurons. We get a firing storm within the brain. We then go into an energy crisis, and that can take up to 4 weeks for that to fully resolve. But our symptoms will often be gone in that first 5 to 7 days. So that's why it's important. Cool. Thank you guys. Hope that makes sense.